Now, I'm not the most die-hard fan of Power Rangers, but like any other child growing up in the 90s, Power Rangers was part of my childhood, along with other programs like Beast Wars, X-Men, Pokemon, Goosebumps, Come Outside. Oh man, that was an awesome show. Or what about something really obscure like Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century? Oh, and if you think I'm making that up, just Google it. Seriously, it's an actual show, and it rocked. The list of TV shows goes on, and I'll probably expand on it in another video. But getting back to the matter at hand, if you were born or grew up in the 90s and you didn't watch, hear or know about Power Rangers, then that must have been a seriously fucking huge rock that you were under. Just as Thundercats was the quintessential show to watch if you were a kid growing up in the 80s, in the early to mid 90s, Power Rangers was the show to watch. But after a few years going towards the end of the decade, Power Rangers had lost its momentum and its novelty value, as well as most of its audience. And with the rise of TV channels like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon in the mid to late 90s, those who stopped watching Power Rangers either watched Pokemon or Dragon Ball Z. And ever since I stopped watching, I've always tried to keep an eye on Power Rangers over the years. The key word there is tried. I mean, for the majority of the noughties, I lost track completely. But, you know, whatever. But for me, one of the Power Rangers franchise's finest hours is definitely the 1995 movie. The story begins right from the offset, showing the Rangers that we all knew and loved and how awesome they are doing skydiving for charity. But for the sake of this video, let's just skip the parts of the film where they're just nobbing around and get down to business. An intergalactic being known as Ivan Ooze is woken up and, yeah, you know the drill. Every villain that the Power Rangers face is always the most evil yet. And you know the good guys will ultimately win in the end.
You obviously don't know who you're dealing with, Mr. Raisinhead.
Really?
Yeah, we're the Power Rangers.
Woo! Where's my autograph book? Ha! Power Rangers, huh?
However, with respect to actor Paul Freeman, who played Ivan Ooze, his character is very convincing and is genuinely and effectively menacing baddie, with a dash of humour, from the same school of bad guys such as the Kurgan from Highlander.
Happy Halloween, ladies! Nuns. No sense of humour.
And Ivan looks like he has a legitimate chance to kill the Power Rangers while they're powerless, and he doesn't even bother. Now the excuse for this is, he's too busy digging up his own Zords in effect, and using the local parent populace that he's zombified as a labour force. The command centre is attacked by Ivan, the Rangers' powers are obliterated, and Zordon's power chamber thing is broken, leaving him dying. So the team are sent to the distant planet of Vados to obtain the power of the sacred animals of the Ninjetti. And once there, they're saved by some mystical lady with no clothes, who helps them on their quest.
Dulcia, that miserable, manipulating, loathsome she-devil of a witch. If she leads them to the great power, everything will be ruined.
And in classic Power Rangers fashion, to get to their goal, they have to kick some ass. Now watch this. This is the funniest part of the movie, at least it was for me. Whoever came up with this bit is a supremely funny guy.
Hang tight, Adam. Ever play leapfrog? Adam! Hang on, Rocky. Hey, lava head.
And for your unamusement, here's a selection of some of the bad jokes in the film.
Elevator going up. Elevator going down. Talk about a splitting headache. These guys don't know when to quit. Double whammy, you're on. Yo, Fossil Head, I've got a bone to pick with you.
Anyway, it's time to power up. They come back to Earth with new powers and new Zords, and needless to say, the bad guy kicks their ass, they kick his ass, he dies. Just check out the finishing move. A knee to the crotch. Stupid, but genius. The Rangers have saved the day, Zordon is revived, and the status quo is restored. The end.
Oh no.
You see, the thing about this movie is, unlike the TV show, is the team's journey in the film at least gives a sense of epicness and adventure. The story is slightly above par for Power Ranger writing at the time. The acting is suspect as usual. The dialogue and jokes are as inherently entertaining and shamelessly pathetic as they've always been. The Ranger suits look like proper armour instead of crappy ass spandex, and the CGI is not bad for the film's budget, and not bad for a 1995 B movie in general. Maybe I'm just getting nostalgic and viewing this film through rose-tinted glasses, but it's a good fun film with a bit of action. The whole family can watch it. There's no occasion where this film would be a bad idea to watch, except maybe a funeral. It's a bit silly and the jokes are terrible, but I think it adds to the overall 90s charm. And finally, at the end of the day, it's not meant to be Oscar-worthy material, but for all its flaws, it's not a terrible film either. So for me, one of my childhood favourites, Power Rangers the movie, gets a solid 5.5 out of 10, with a personal nostalgia factor of 7 out of 10.